Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it has been over 10 years since Disney released The Force Awakens, beginning the end of Star Wars.
Yeah, pretty much.
As a franchise that is universally beloved by so many people. Yeah, we're going to talk about this because there has been a lot of discussion lately about not just The Force Awakens, but especially The Last Jedi, its sequel, which is easily the most divisive thing in Star Wars.
Oh, you can track back the entire,
ever.
Destruction of the franchise to this one film.
And we've got an article from comicbook.com that's basically like, oh, The Force Awakens is actually what destroyed Star Wars, not The Last Jedi. So we're going to take a look at that. But the guy that wrote it admits to being a Last Jedi defender. So it's, which you're allowed to.
James is obsessed with all things Star Wars and Games of Thrones, will happily expend his energy defending The Last Jedi.
So here we have another article, and this is after Rian Johnson was out there. We had other people out there being like, "Oh yeah, Last Jedi, it was still good. It was, subverted your expectations." This is another case of Disney was just so eager to make its money back from buying Lucasfilm that they didn't even sit down and think out or plot out the 3 movies in this trilogy. So everything's just like, the first one is just pretty much a copy paste of A New Hope. The second one was whatever the fuck it was, and then the third one tried to undo the damage, but you can't undo all that in one movie, right? And somehow
I have to
returned.
Laugh because on his write-up, if you read the second part of his write-up, because I was going to say it, but you went off it too fast.
Oh, sorry.
He said he'll do it in exchange for insults from people he's never met. That's okay. That your terms are acceptable, James. Your terms are acceptable. I listened to you, now you get to hear what I have to say. So.
And I'm going to be upfront here. I don't think a lot of these people actually, they might believe what they write to an extent, but I think a lot of it is chasing buzzwords.
No, this one clearly believes it because it's literally in the write-up. So I think that.
Yeah, this one's a little bit different. That's where I was going with it. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about The Force Awakens being what ruined Star Wars, not The Last Jedi. According to James. Before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's more.clownfishtv.com. For more Clownfish TV, we're going to be ramping things up over there. Going into 2026, more content you will not find over here. This comes from comicbook.com. I still like The Force Awakens, but it's to blame for Star Wars sequel trilogy failure and not The Last Jedi.
There are lots of things wrong with The Force Awakens too, but let's be honest here. The Last Jedi just completely... The Force Awakens had one job, which was to put everybody back together again and let everybody, because that's how they teased, and then move on from there. And that was the one job they had, and they didn't do it. And that is true. And that is, and it was basically A New Hope all over again, which is why I said, right when I came out of the movie, I already saw this before, got so much shit for that. But that was what I said. And that's what he argues, like that happened. But The Last Jedi it was at least fresh. It was like a big giant cow shit on a hot summer day.
Well, you can milk one of those cows.
Well, not the shit. I wouldn't recommend it.
That'll be the next trilogy, right? They're gonna eat the shit, eat the cow shit, eat the cow shit. Fans, just eat it. Yeah, they said that The Force Awakens set up The Last Jedi. They said they set The Last Jedi's Luke Skywalker. No, they didn't. Actually, the Luke Skywalker we saw at the end of The Force Awakens was wearing nice, clean Jedi robes. We assumed at that point he was probably a Jedi Master. He probably had some intelligent reason for why he was in hiding that would make sense in the next movie. Mm-hmm. And he goes from that to just tossing the lightsaber and putting on some bummy ass clothes and just kind of schlepping around the island.
And then being a complete insufferable asshat, but
being an asshat the whole time. He said the sequels, Luke Skywalker is nothing like the original trilogy version. The real Luke would never stay on an island while those closest to him are in danger and even killed.
It's true. He wouldn't.
Yeah. No, he wouldn't have. If you hold that to be true, then there's a good chance some ire has been aimed at The Last Jedi, but it's not the movie that made that choice. The Force Awakens did. Okay, so here's the I will give him that because you said it before.
Yes and no, but here's the thing. It's like, but Disney ultimately set this up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I will give him that. They did do this in the first movie, and that was the
Which I said, yeah,
biggest critical mistake that Disney made with the trilogy was they did not get Han, Luke, and Leia together for at least one scene.
Which was common sense. I mean, that was bare minimum.
Bare minimum. And I think even Mark Hamill would agree with that because he kept posting that picture of like all of them in the cockpit of the Falcon. They're all there. Chewie and Lando, they're all there. And that would have been amazing. And that's what the fans wanted. And that's what we thought we were going to get, because when they were making the announcement that we're getting the sequel trilogy with the 3 leads, we all assumed they were going to be in the same scene together. I mean, who wouldn't assume they were going to be in the same scene together? But they didn't do it. And the reason they didn't do it, if I remember correctly, was they felt that Luke Skywalker was too much of a presence and basically took the oxygen away from the new
Luke Skywalker would take away from Rey. Let's just be honest. That's what
Luke
it was.
would take away from Rey.
Luke would take away from Rey Nobody, Rey, Mary Sue, and that was going to be a problem.
Yes. So it was really stupid. But so the Resistance, Leia Organa fighting against the First Order. Han Solo returns to the fray and gets killed by his own son. Starkiller Base destroys an entire planet. Luke does nothing. What justification for that could there be? The Last Jedi could not have character choice and then suddenly throw Luke back into action as though he were simply unaware of the First Order's existence. Now someone finally told him he was ready to take them on. There had to be a strong reason. Well, I thought the strong reason was going to be a lot better than like, you know what? I felt like killing my nephew.
Yeah, because
I ran away.
I was yes. I mean, that wasn't a strong reason. That was the lame-ass reason that wasn't in character. So that didn't give a real justification and meaning and weight. There was no weight and meaning because it wasn't in character.
Force Awakens kept Rey and Snoke as mystery boxes. Yeah, I don't think there was a plan for Snoke. I think Snoke was just like, okay, we need another Palpatine character, so we'll just make him bigger.
Yeah,
like
and Rey, the fact that Rey was a mystery box and a nobody was better than what they did.
Yeah, and they didn't have any of this plan because the original screenplay for Episode 9 went way different, right? That like they actually kept it, but she just was nobody, and that was fine. She didn't have to have it. I mean, it's a big galaxy, right? Everybody doesn't have to be related, right? I mean, come on.
Well, they that's what he's mad about. He's like, they should have, with the Rise of Skywalker, which I do agree on that regard, is that they should have, just kept going with what they had for Last Jedi and not trying to retcon everything. And I agree with you, but at that point they were so desperate because for a movie that was so amazing and did so well, guys, and everybody's full of shit, Last Jedi was the best thing ever. There'd be no reason to retcon and walk everything back and try to change it unless you were really fearful that no one would show up. So that's what they did because they knew they done fucked up. They knew Rian Johnson done fucked up James. And so they tried to walk it back, but then that was dumb because then no one liked it. Because even the few handful of Jameses you had out there, you had the majority that, didn't like it, then no one came to the movie.
Again, The Force Awakens was a very safe movie. They're trying to get people back into Star Wars. And it did work. I mean, the movie made like $2 billion. Sold a bunch of toys. At the time, they sold a bunch of toys except for Rey. She's still on sale at Ollie's. You can't find Finn's or anybody. It's just Rey. But, it definitely was The Last Jedi that broke the franchise. I'm sorry. The people were excited. They were like, oh, yeah, Luke's coming back. He's going to kick some ass. We're going to find out why he was on. Yeah. And then to have him just be a freaking sad sack throughout the entire fucking movie. And even at the end, like, dude, there is the X-Wing in the water. You lift it out of the water. You couldn't do it before. You lift it, you get in it, you go save your sister. Right?
Right.
Come on. That's what Luke would have done. And he didn't. He's like, nah, I'm just going to phone it in.
And I'm going to OD on the Force.
I'm going to OD on the Force and die. Die on a rock on a strange planet, nobody really knows how to get to, or nobody knew where it was or whatever. But yeah, it was a lot of setup for things that never happened. Maz Kanata's like, there's a story for another day about how the lightsaber. Did they ever explain it? I don't know. I never watched Rise of Skywalker. I don't think they did.
Didn't care.
Going back to The Force Awakens hurts the Rise of Skywalker. God forbid we make it try to feel like a coherent trilogy. They said, fundamentally, I don't think there's any aspect of The Last Jedi that retcons or actively works against The Force Awakens.
Except for literally everything.
It's a clear continuation of its story and characters, even if those choices were surprising, and while it's entirely fair to dislike them on their own merits, it's not because of it contradicting or wasting what Episode 7 did.
It really did. It just, everything that they set up for the trilogy, they just undid in like one movie.
And then they undid the undoing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, would you make up your fucking mind? The same cannot be said of the Rise of Skywalker, which is
that was the reaction to the idiocy that was The Last Jedi, which James knows that. Maybe James needs to hunt for a new opinion.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. If The Last Jedi didn't break Star Wars, I'm not talking narratively, I'm talking financially, commercially. If it didn't break Star Wars, then why did Disney do this, James? Because of the response to The Last Jedi, Disney and Lucasfilm panicked, pivoted, and went back to J.J. Abrams and back to The Force Awakens. Suddenly, we're revisiting Rey's parentage, and hey, she's a Palpatine. We're revisiting Snoke, and what's that? He was created by Palpatine. Remember Luke? He's back, this time in Pog/Ghost form, and forget all the lessons, just go kill the bad guy. Isn't that what people want? If The Last Jedi was a success, they wouldn't have done that, right?
Right. The story was true that it did so well, and it was just the naysayers, and it was a vocal minority. There'd be no reason to go back and retcon everything because it was a massive failure, and it completely destroyed the fandom. And then you have Rian Johnson out there with man baby tear mugs and all this other shit, and people like James here probably doing their best to stir up shit. And it just didn't do well. And I agree that they just gone down with what they were doing at that point instead of retconning it back because that just made no one happy. But basically, James is pissed they didn't do more what James wanted. And I'm like, well, now you know what everybody else feels like when they ruined everything about this. It's ultimately Disney's fault the whole way across because they had no story and no plan. No overarching story and no plan.
I don't understand. And I'm getting the same feeling from Marvel, too. Like, there was no plan for the MCU. There was no plan for phase 4, phase 5. They were just kind of making it up as they went along. Because if there was a plan, we'd see some connective tissue there, and there's zero connective tissue.
Right. There's like usually that's the first thing you do. We're going to do a trilogy. This is how it starts. This is how it ends. This is the main point for each of these 3 films, and then we can work within those parameters so we can stay cohesive. Nope.
So I'm just from a storytelling point of view. Like I am not a master author by any chance, right? I'm not a best-selling author, but it makes sense just, from a practical standpoint to have your ending in mind and then work backwards, right? Mm-hmm. Like how did we get to that? Okay, I got the beginning. I know what the characters are. I know what their motivation is. And okay, let's think this through. How does this end? Knowing this, okay, so here's the ending. So now I got to fill in all the details in between. Like how do they get from here to here? And that's all you needed. Again, just 3 Post-it notes. Here's basically what happens in the first movie, basically what happens in the second movie, and basically what happens in the third movie. You can fill in the details, but at least you have a basic idea.
Right, exactly what I said. Yes, but
going.
They didn't even have that.
No.
They didn't have that. And then, I'm sorry, the fact that they didn't even sit down and discuss this ahead of time was ridiculous. And Johnson just, took everything they gave him, and he's like, I'm going to subvert expectations, and just flushed it. I'm sorry. That's what happened, James. It is what it is. And no matter what you say, The Last Jedi still is known for what destroyed Star Wars.
Yeah, I think this is undisputed at this point. And
it's not undisputed because James is going to dispute it.
I've seen a lot of outlets that were very pro Last Jedi all of a sudden do a 180 on that, and they're all like, oh yeah, Last Jedi really did break Star Wars, didn't it? I'm like, yeah, you can trace all the financial failure of Star Wars back to The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of it. And everything just, and I know a lot of Raylos are pissed off because they wanted, the happy ending for Ben and
they're still going on. They want the Ben Solo movie. They're running buses now with screens on it and trying to get like, no one's going to make the Ben Solo movie.
No. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Even they had a glimmer of hope with The Mandalorian. They flushed that goodwill. I do not believe The Mandalorian's going to do well at the theater at all.
No.
And I think that's going to be that and I have more hope for Starfighter, but just because it has Ryan Gosling in it doesn't mean it's going to make money. I mean, look at the Fall Guy.
I'm going to hold reserve judgment until I see something. We haven't really seen anything.
Yeah. So there we go, guys. I still blame Last Jedi. And I will until the day I die. You broke Star Wars, Disney. We're going to wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.